All right, and good morning, and welcome to the WSJM Morning Show for your Tuesday, October 7th. As one of my guests pointed out, Marla Schneider, CEO and president of Cornerstone Alliance, it is finally the first official day of fall. We've been waiting, first unofficial day of fall, where we have the temperatures and the conditions like that. Weather condition check. What's it like out there? You just came in.
Pretty wet.
Very, very wet. Very rainy. It's weird to get used to after driving in nothing but sunshine for the last couple of days, right? So
yeah.
Gotta get acclimated back to that.
I mean, every now and again, I'll park my car outside just to see if it can get a wash. But I mean, it's been a drought. It's been a drought. No, so Greg King is here as well. So Marla and Greg are from Cornerstone Alliance, and they're here to talk about a lot of things having to do with economic development in our region. Maybe one of you can give a brief overview for those who might not know Cornerstone Alliance. What's their role? What do they do?
Cornerstone is the lead economic developer in Berrien County. So we do economic development, which is primarily industrial development, community development, so placemaking projects, sites and assets development, so making sure that we have the proper sites for a business to locate here. And then we are now working on housing as well.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay. And you're doing a study of some sort.
We are.
Talk maybe just a brief on that.
So we're doing a housing needs assessment study with Bowen National Research. They're kind of the gold standard in housing studies across the nation. And we anticipate that the study will be done in December. We will get a short 400+ page report back from them.
That's not short.
And digest all of that.
Okay.
And currently we're working with our stakeholders and municipalities on developing a housing resource. So after the study is in hand, what happens next? And so that's something that we want our community to be involved in and have ownership in. And so we're developing that together. Yeah,
it seems like of late we've been talking a lot in the news about housing developments, a lot of references made to the brownfield TIF stuff, the tax increment financing. I know Dan Fetty over at Berrien County has been incredibly busy bringing all those forward. I have questions about that because, I mean, people hear TIF and they think brownfield and they think, oh, contaminated soil. That's not the case.
No, not necessarily.
There's some re-education that has to happen.
And Dan is by far the expert. And we have Andrew Hahn on our staff who unfortunately couldn't be here today, but he is an expert.
Because of the rain.
The rain, yes.
No.
He's afraid of the rain. But he's an expert in that as well. And we're going to be hiring a housing person to advance that within Berrien County. So that's something that's on our radar. And obviously the brownfield TIFs will be a huge part of that. And we're fortunate that we can now use that tool for housing here.
Yeah. It seems to have really made a difference for developers, especially when they're calculating all the numbers and saying, okay, is this going to make it for me? Is everyone going to be happy here at the end?
Yeah.
Greg, how are you doing over there?
I'm doing great.
What's going on?
Still out and about, visiting with our employers. I think last time I was on here, we were talking up the Gateway to Mission Markets event that we did with Michigan College.
How'd that go?
With Barbara Craig. It was great. We had 50 attendees. We had 6 different speakers talking about aerospace and defense opportunities for our manufacturers. We had a great showing from our manufacturing community. Lots of great, questions, lots of great education. I've never seen so many people taking notes in one of these events. So that was great to see. And we got a lot of positive feedback on, how can we do future events like this? Maybe not tied specifically to aerospace and defense, but networking.
That'd be cool, though.
Education.
I want a SpaceX here. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, that would be something to have that here. So
we'll talk about that. I want to learn more about that as well. All right, we're talking with Marla Schneider and Greg King. They are from Cornerstone Alliance, and we'll be back in just a moment. We've got to get to some news, weather, sports, etc. But we'll be here on the video live stream all hour long with these individuals talking about economic development. It's the WSJM Morning Show.
The largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
WSJM News now. Team coverage from the WSJM newsroom on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM.
It's the WSJM Morning Show, 7:05 a.m. Good morning. I'm Ken Lundberg. It's Tuesday, October 7th, and we've got rainfall out there. Quite a bit of rain. It's been raining for about an hour and a half now, and we had some thunder and some lightning. That seems to have passed. With it, we've got a cold front that's moving through the area. We've got rain for the next hour in Benton Harbor, where it's 63 degrees. Same for St. Joseph, where it's 64. South Haven, 62 degrees. 64 in Dowagiac. If you look at a weather map and you see the line of cold air that came through that brought us the thunder and lightning, that is bringing in, as I mentioned, cooler temperatures. And so as we go through the morning hours, we're going to see the temperatures drop off a bit. They'll probably pan out somewhere in the lower 60s. Let's cross our fingers and hope that it doesn't get too cool. But we do have cloudy skies in the forecast for today. Rain should be falling off after the first half of the day. We have southwest winds becoming northwest, 10 to 15 miles per hour. That's going to funnel a lot of cool air into our region. Gusts, wind gusts today about 25 miles per hour. So if you plan to get out on the water, do be careful and take a coat. Tonight's forecast becoming mostly clear, a low around 45 degrees. Anyone see the harvest moon last night? Did you see that?
Yes.
Wasn't that? Oh, you didn't see it, Greg? Oh man, you missed out. It was like the best moon ever. No, I'm just kidding. But no, it was gorgeous. Harvest moon was out there. Anyway, so mostly clear tonight. We won't have the harvest moon again technically, but it'll still be beautiful if we see it. Wednesday's forecast, partly sunny and cool, a high around 64. Thursday and Friday, we do have a possibility of some patchy frost outside. Yeah, get this. The low on Thursday, is going to be around 37 degrees. Yeah, back in the 30s. Finally. Greg and Marla are looking at each other going, oh, no. Oh, no.
Greg is excited.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Where's our fall weather?
Same. I'm ready for that as well. My guests in the studio, by the way, from Cornerstone Alliance, Marla Schneider, President and CEO of Cornerstone, and Greg King, the Director of Economic Development. We'll be talking with them this hour about a lot of different things tied to economic development, including housing. Talk about a study that they have in the field right now and what they're going to do with that study when they get it. So that is coming up in just a moment here on the WSJM Morning Show. First off, though, we've got to get some news from the WSJM newsroom. A South Haven home was badly damaged yesterday when a fire spread from a nearby gazebo that was attached to the house. South Haven Area Emergency Services says crews were called to School Street near Superior at about 2:20 in the afternoon. Flames were spreading toward the house amid downed power lines and a burning propane tank. Firefighters were able to contain the blaze, and they say everyone inside the house escaped safely. The rear of the home did suffer some heavy damage. The cause of the fire remains under investigation. We learned this morning a Hartford man is in custody after a high-speed chase through Decatur. It happened over the weekend. The Van Buren County Sheriff's Office says on Sunday afternoon, a 33-year-old suspect fled when a deputy attempted to stop him near East Sherwood and Southeast Streets, reaching speeds near 80 miles per hour before running off the road and landing in a cornfield. Deputies set up a perimeter with the help of residents and a Cass County drone unit. The man eventually surrendered without incident. Methamphetamine drugs and drug paraphernalia were found inside the vehicle. He faces multiple warrants and new charges, including fleeing police and drug possession. Other news, there's a new director on the job at the Southwest Michigan Regional Airport. Christopher Beckman was appointed in August, and since then he's moved to the area with his wife and 3 daughters. A veteran of the U.S. Air Force and Air National Guard, Beckman says he's been managing airfields and developing a passion for aviation.
Because I got to work on an airfield and see how airfields are run, really just piqued my interest in how to learning how to design an airfield, how the planes, before they even take off, all the steps that it takes just to get a plane off the ground was just amazing to me. And that's why I wanted to continue on the civilian side.
Beckman brings experience in runway renovation, construction, budgeting, and coordinating with pilots and contractors. Says his top priority is securing the renewal of the airport's operating millage next year.
Trying to grow some type of services here that can help people, not just companies, not just private pilots, but that we can serve people, the community, get them to where they need to go in the future. That's one of the goals we have.
He also plans to engage the public and continue events like the Wings and Wheels Fall Fly-In that they had this past weekend. And the Michigan Maritime Museum in South Haven is preparing to host Dan Seavey, Confessions of a Great Lakes Pirate. That's coming up this Friday at 6 p.m. It's a one-man show starring Tom Castle, who has captained ships in the Great Lakes, on tall ships, that is, and also researched CV's life as a sailor, a fisherman, a saloon keeper, a U.S. Marshal, and then unfortunately became a pirate.
From time to time, if there was, something on a deck or dock that nobody would miss, maybe, he'd fix that up.
Castle says CV also ran a floating brothel, transported liquor, and was active from the 1880s through about the 1940s.
Moon cussing is what they call it in the Great Lakes, was putting lights up on shore where there really shouldn't be any lights. And that would make a ship go aground and they'd somehow lose their cargo.
Tickets are $10 for the public and $5 for museum members. Again, that performance is coming up. One-man show Friday at 6 p.m. Did you know we had pirates on the Great Lakes? How cool is that?
That is very cool.
Unless you're the person getting pirated.
Well,
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah.
I've got a lot of Jimmy Buffett songs in my head
Oh,
right now.
no.
Hearing that.
I was talking about Pirates and Planes for a series of announcements there. So
We get Johnny Depp out there, Pirates of the
There you go.
Great Lakes Caribbean. Okay. It's 7:11. It's the WSJM Morning Show. That's a look at some of the local news that we have. Our guests in the studio this morning. Let's say hello to Cornerstone Alliance's Marla Schneider. She's the president and CEO. And Greg King. He's the director of economic development. Good morning and welcome.
good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thanks for being on the WSJM Morning Show with Ken and friends. Tell us, what are we going to talk about today?
We have lots to talk about. So
Yeah.
I think first on the list for us is to update everyone on our progress with economic development,
Yeah.
meeting with manufacturers. That is exactly why we hired Greg. He's been on the job for 6 months now. So
Excellent.
I think Greg can give us a good snapshot of what he's been doing.
Yeah, let's do that. But before we do that, because we did this on the video live stream, let's do it on the radio. Remind people, Cornerstone Alliance, your mission, your goal, what you're doing.
Sure. So Cornerstone Alliance is the lead economic development organization for Berrien County. We work on economic development, community development, sites and assets development. So our product that we have here for land and buildings. And then we are working on housing as well.
Excellent. Okay. And so on one leg of that stool, you've got what Greg's working on. Greg, give us an update on how that's going.
Yeah, so we've been out visiting with our, again, primary employers. We've talked about that before, about manufacturers, food processors, et cetera. We've met with about 75 of them since I started, again, throughout the county. I think about 40% of those are in the St. Joe Benton Harbor area, but the other remaining are, again, throughout the county.
Yeah.
Just listening to, what are some of the common challenges, opportunities, starting to dig deep into some survey work with them to kind of understand what resources we can bring to the table, as well as what other partners in education we can bring as well. So I think we're really in the depths of those efforts. Again, we recently put together that Mission Markets event in response to that, which was an aerospace and defense education opportunity for our manufacturers to jump into that market. Everything is kind of a little down right now, but aerospace and defense is one of the few industries that's looking up. So I think that was a great opportunity that we're going to kind of leverage and look into other different types of programming. So right now it's really just listening sessions with a lot of our employers. Yeah. I think you're going to see us come on strong, early 2026 with some great programming events, roundtables, et cetera. So we're really at the kind of launching pad, from 2025 into 2026.
Yeah. As you're going out and having those listening sessions with employers, what are some of the things that you're hearing as far as challenges and opportunities?
I think, and this goes back to the housing studies, housing. We need workers, but we need housing for the workers. So it's kind of a chicken and the egg problem, right? So those are the biggest challenges. On the workforce side, it's typically your general production engineers, so electrical, mechanical, chemical, biochemical, any kind of engineer, and then welders is one we're hearing a need for as well throughout the county. Yeah. I think, again, we talked about aerospace and defense being a great opportunity. So employers looking to jump into that. We've got some companies that are interested in looking at exporting for the first time. So what does that education look like? What does that process look like, especially with kind of the changing international landscape? So working with some partners to figure that out. We've got some employers who are looking to take advantage of grant opportunities. I want to give a shout out to the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, MDARD. We have a great partnership with them, and they just recently announced grants awards to companies throughout the state, and we had a lot of three of our companies in Berrien County receive those grants. So that was exciting to see. And then, that was following Hildebrand Farms, Orinoco Township receiving a different MDARD grant a couple months ago. So again, just educating companies on those grant opportunities and having them go after them in 2026.
Yeah, excellent. And so, I mean, as you mentioned, one of the key challenges, housing. Cornerstone is also in the midst, Marla, of a study that who are we talking to, or how is this study taking place?
So we have contracted with Bowen National Research, and they are a consultant that does housing studies across the nation. We started this process with them in June. We anticipate that we will receive that 400-page plus report back in December. And so then we'll go through and digest all of that. We're working with our stakeholders and our municipalities to develop what does a housing resource look like moving forward. So after we have the study in hand, what does the housing resource do? What's their mission? And who do we hire? What are the attributes of the person and the skill sets that they need to advance housing within Berrien County? So we anticipate that we'll be hiring someone next year, and we are collectively developing that with our community. One of the other things that we're doing on housing in particular is hosting a developer day. And Greg has been instrumental with driving that forward within Cornerstone. And so a lot of the sites that we will show developers are potential for housing or mixed use development on our developer day tour, which Greg.
Oh, excellent. Tell us more.
Yes, we've got developer day coming up this Thursday. So we're bringing in a variety, about 50 in-county and out-of-county developers, contractors, financial institutions, and we're taking them on a bus and we're showing them, some of the best sites we have available in Berrien County for development, primarily housing and mixed use. We have, one or two industrial as well. So we're visiting, we're going to Stevensville, Buchanan, Niles, Benton Harbor, and St. Joseph. This is again a great opportunity to showcase those sites. We're going to have some education or resource partners on the bus as well with the MEDC. We have, Village of Berrien Springs is going to do a bit of a presentation. So even for some of those municipalities that we're not visiting, we wanted to welcome them onto the bus to talk about those opportunities. Because again, this is probably going to be an annual or every other year type of event. And it's going to change every so often, right? So we're always going to try and bring to them different sites throughout the county. So this is our kind of inaugural one. We're kind of cutting our teeth on it, but I think there's a lot of excitement. We've sold out. We've got some great sponsors for this event, and we're really excited to kick it off. It's going to be we're kicking it off at the Solarium at Watermark Brewing Company.
Okay.
So that's where we're kind of starting and ending for the day. So you basically won't see me for a little while as we're getting that event underway on Thursday and just kind of running around.
Did you say 50 developers you'll have?
Yep, 50,
wow.
55 developers.
That's amazing. And who are the sponsors? You can thank them.
Yeah, so shout out to, again, Watermark Brewing. They're our event sponsor. We've got Wolverine Building Group, Fishbeck, and Abbenmarsh, and then Mercantile Bank of Michigan are our four sponsors for that event.
That's exciting. I want to unpack some of that. So we have a lot to talk about this hour. It's economic development. So you want to hear about what's going on in the region from Cornerstone Alliance. We're going to have that this hour right here on the WSJM Morning Show. Right now, we've got to get to sports, and we will continue this conversation right this instant on the video live stream here on WSJM.
Sports on the.
All right, back on the video live stream. That's exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, we're pumped to do it. I think we've seen similar initiatives in other parts of the state, and we really wanted to put our kind of touch on this. And we realized that we have a small development community here in Berrien County, but we were receiving a lot of inquiries from folks from Indiana, Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids, Muskegon. And so we're like, well, why not put an event together where all those folks get to network and we get to showcase, our best sites in Berrien County.
Developers strike me as a salty crew. with very little patience.
Salt of the earth.
Little
folks.
Patience.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Let's build now, and then they got to go through the government hurdles and everything else. But I mean, so how do you what's the agenda look like? Just get an overview. How does this happen so that you can? Yeah,
we're kicking off in the morning with registration, folks coming by, and then we have an hour-long lunch period where we're doing a presentation. So various folks from Cornerstone Alliance, so myself, Marla, Andrew, will be talking about economic development, housing, community development, some high-level overview, Cornerstone Alliance, and some of the projects that we're working on. And then we're going to actually walk over to the Anstey Foundry in Stevensville. That's kind of our starting point to talk about that site and what the village wants. And Casey, the village manager, will be on site to talk about that.
Yeah.
Then going down to Buchanan, working with Tony Buchanan, who's been on this show before.
Yeah.
And talking about they've got a grain silo site that they are open to different ideas for development. Going over right after that to Niles, looking at a site where the former YMCA was. And so Rick Huff, the city administrator, will be presenting on site there. As we're coming back up, I think that's where we're going to have some of those presentations on the bus with the MEDC, Village of Berrien Springs, and potentially several others.
Okay.
We're going to drive through the Lake Michigan Industrial Park in Benton Charter Township, and that's our big industrial property or parcel.
Yeah.
And talk about opportunities there. And then
That's the one just north of the airport.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Very good.
And then we will be going through Benton Harbor, looking at Imogene Hall Thoughts, talking with Whirlpool, taking folks along Riverview Drive, where there's been a lot of talks about planned developments. And then checking out various sites in St. Joseph with the Rinks Group, who's behind the Marquette project that Andrew's talked about.
Yeah.
And then having Emily, the city manager, talking about some other properties as well. And then ending up at the end of the day at Watermark after all that. So
nice. Pour some beer into them and get them to sign the contract.
Yeah, something like that.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. Right.
So I mean, we're talking about primarily residential development.
This is very much focused on commercial and residential.
Residential.
We do have that drive-by through the industrial park that we'll talk about. We've been working a lot within that park to make sure the infrastructure is where it needs to be for to make it site ready. So that's an important stop for us, but we're not getting off the bus or spending a good amount of time. We're really focusing on community and housing for this tour in particular.
Okay. And I know this is just a windshield tour and a lot of discussion, but when could we see some of these? I mean, how many of these properties are build ready? Like if a developer sees it and says, I think I can make that work. How long are we talking about?
Gosh, that's a great question. I'd say probably half of them are build ready. I mean, a lot of those are municipal owned sites. So the municipality would want to partner with one of these developers to come up with something that would benefit the overall community. I think a lot of our municipalities who I mentioned are open to those discussions. So again, this is an opportunity to bring those developers on a bus in front of these administrators, city managers, et cetera, to have that conversation. Yeah. So again, if it was ready to go, probably year, 2 years, 3 years, depends on that pace. But and how soon we can get into things. I mean, we are hitting winter, which is a pretty quiet construction season generally. But there's potentially ways for them to get started on something in the spring if there was an agreement on what they wanted to do.
Yeah,
I think the important thing too is that these are municipal owned sites. So the communities and the municipalities have site control and they want development there. Mm-hmm. So they're willing to work with the developer to make that happen.
Okay. Good news. We're talking with Cornerstone Alliance, Marla Schneider, President and CEO of Cornerstone, and Greg King, Director of Economic Development. We're going to come back, continue this conversation right here on the WSJM Morning Show in just a moment.
Austin Batalis, owner of the Batalis Agency Farm Bureau Insurance here in St. Joseph, Michigan. I've experienced firsthand what a lack of proper insurance can lead to for families in our community. And it's my agency's mission to protect you and your family at the lowest possible cost. From your car to your home to your business and your life, we have you covered. Give me a call today at 269-983-0179.
Cloudy skies with showers and a few thunderstorms to start out today. We'll see these taper off as the day goes on. High temperatures in the mid and upper 60s in the morning, but dropping into the low 60s this afternoon. And with the wind shift, it's going to become breezy this afternoon. Clear tonight, we drop down to 45, and tomorrow sunny, but high temperatures only at 64. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carrie Peugeot.
The Morning Show with Ken Lundberg on WSJM.
723 WSJM Morning Show. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ken Lundberg. Here with me this morning, we have Marla Schneider from Cornerstone Alliance, President and CEO, and also Greg King, Director of Economic Development. And on the video live stream, we were talking about housing and development, and a developer's windshield tour is coming up later this week that's coordinated by Cornerstone Alliance. So thank you for doing that. Going to go all around the area and talk about housing opportunities for developers. And one of the things that we've seen recently in the news, something that was talked about, I think, at the Berrien County Commission last week, there are a lot of developers who have been taking advantage of the, rightfully so, because the state put it out there for this purpose, of the tax increment financing, commonly known as the brownfield. And it seems to have spurred a boom. I mean, are you having a lot of developers saying, yeah, now this works. If we can recoup some of our investment over 10, 20, 30 years, this now works. This makes Southwest Michigan more attractive.
Sure, it does. Yeah, absolutely. Because housing is so expensive to build at the moment too.
Yeah.
So even developers are looking at kind of that gap financing and how are they going to get their projects across the finish line. And so the Brownfield TIF is a tool that, allows for that to happen. And so I think we will start to see a increase in interest in Berrien County with that tool being available.
Yeah, it's incredible the number of housing projects that have come forward just even in the last couple 3 months. And in fact, last night, Berrien Hills, they got their TIF recommendation approved by the St. Joseph Township moving forward. So it's a very exciting time for Southwest Michigan. Other things that you have, you had an exciting opening of the Canal Commons. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so that will be a stop on the Developer Day tour, just to showcase what we're able to do with community development. And Canal Commons is in the city of Benton Harbor.
Yep.
It is between Emma Jean Hall Flats and the canal there by the Whirlpool Tech Center. And it is a public community space. And there's, fire pits, food truck hookup, a pavilion where you can have a band or a DJ, seating for a picnic. There's, we're putting in a fishing dock as well. So
That's so cool.
yeah, I know when Greg and I were in Muskegon, people fished to eat and to live for their livelihood. And so I think that's very important that we offer those opportunities to the public where they can use that as a food source. So we're really excited about this project, and it really is the catalyst for connecting the Emma Jean Hall Flats with Riverview Drive and extending development south along the St. Joe River, which is our intention to make that a community public space as we work on that for probably the next decade.
Yeah. There is a lot of opportunity there on Riverview Drive. You think about what is that, the old Chase building?
Yes.
That's there. That's gone through. I think it's recently been put up for sale.
Yes.
Maybe even recently signed. You don't know anything about that? Anyone buy that recently? We heard rumors. We can't say them.
I'm
unless you can
I'm
confirm
sworn
them.
to secrecy.
All right, fine. We'll get it eventually, but no. So I mean, Riverview Drive. You think about it. You look at it. It's prime riverfront space, and it's in a dilapidated state. A lot of it is there. There's some shining glimmers there, restaurants, etc. But you think about the opportunity there. Is that another potential for developers? Maybe.
Absolutely, definitely, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. What else is happening with economic development?
Gosh, what else is going on? So we're actually, I think we've talked about before, but we are putting the finishing touches on those roundtables I've talked on this program before. So we're putting together a manufacturers roundtable and an HR roundtable for our employers. So the manufacturers, these are bi-monthly groups that meet at different manufacturing locations. We're bringing subject matter experts, HR specific for the HR one, and kind of more general for the manufacturers. That's something that we've, again, talking about just networking and manufacturers wanting to talk to each other and pursue opportunities to work with each other. And even if they're competitors, they share some of the same challenges. Like we can get engineers. Everyone needs engineers or welders. We'll work together to do that. That helps all of us compete for contracts and such. So I think we're going to start sending those invites and get that program started, start figuring out some of the experts that we can start bringing in to talk to those folks. And, we're really excited to get that off the ground. And I think especially the HR roundtable, we've received a lot of recent inputs to get that going. So
how did you decide on, and the manufacturers, I understand, how did you decide on doing the HR roundtables?
So I worked in, adjacent to the workforce development space, working a lot with Michael and the Michigan Works team and Connexus. So shout out to those guys. And the HR folks, I mean, there's so many different changes with FMLA and the ESTA changes earlier this year. You got Going Pro coming up and the 2 cycles. And I've seen that as a best practice that other economic development organizations have implemented. HR folks, generally speaking, are pretty shy, but once you kind of get them together, you get a few champions talking to each other. I think the floodgates open, and so just talking about, things that might be might not be the most exciting to you and I, like payroll systems and ESTA and compliance, but they want to talk to their peers, and this is a safe environment for them to do so. And again, from an HR standpoint, if I'm working for this company and I'm competing with this company, it doesn't matter so much on the HR side because we all have to hire, we all have to train. So what are those best practices that other companies are doing? What are some of the things that might be coming down at a state or federal level that we can maybe work with our law firms or insurance partners to talk about that. So that's how that started coming about. And I think some of our manufacturers leaders who we've talked with lately have mentioned that that's something they kind of want to push their HR folks into doing as well.
Yeah, the HR professionals. I mean, having worked with them directly at that corporation up the road, Whirlpool Corporation, great individuals who are basically called on all the time to do everything. So having a support group for them is probably a great. Make sure you have the tissues ready.
Yeah, that's right. HR folks, I think they're some of the most important folks.
They work a lot.
They're the catch-all people, right? They kind of get a little bit of everything thrown their way. So
very much so.
This will be good for them to hopefully attend.
Okay, we're talking with Marla Schneider and Greg King. They are from Cornerstone Alliance. We're going to continue talking about economic development stuff. I want to unpack the mission meeting that you had recently here in Southwest Michigan, talking about aerospace opportunities that we might have here. That's coming up on the video live stream in just a moment. Here on the radio, we're going to have a couple of messages and then our financial update from Bloomberg, and then we'll get the latest world and national news update from ABC. It's all coming up right here on WSJM.
What would you...
Okay, back on the video live stream. Everyone good? We're doing all right?
Doing great, yeah.
Okay. Talk a little bit, Greg, if you would, and Marla, about the mission meeting that was held. For those who didn't know, what was it and what was the outcome?
Yep. So we held a Gateway to Michigan Markets events a couple weeks ago at Lake Michigan College. This was in response to two things. One was the governor and the states making military manufacturing a priority going forward.
Yeah.
And so putting together some different resources and programs out there for our companies to start taking advantage of with the kind of recently created Office of Defense and Aerospace Innovation. And so talking with them, they were going to be in this area. So we're like, why not kind of, two birds, one stone?
Yeah.
While you're here, let's put an event together. And at the same time, we were hearing from our employers, how do I get in aerospace and defense? That seems to be going up. Automotives all over the place. You know, the RV manufacturing is all over the place. That seems to be a safe bet. Or I'm looking to diversify. What can I do? So we talked with ODA, as the acronym for the Office of Defense and Aerospace Innovation, and put together this event where we brought in various speakers from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, JETCO, Apex Accelerators, and several others, like Michigan College as well, talking about different ways for these companies to get into that. Okay, there's cybersecurity standards. All right, you need certain your employees need certain skills in order to do that. What kind of registration do you need? What kind of you need to get your system set up so that you can start bidding on these contracts. So so we had about 55 attendees, a good number of them manufacturers. Who are taking great notes and networking with each other, talking about opportunities. We do have some that were there that were already tier 3, tier 4, but maybe looking up to do a different tier. Or how do I work with Howmet out of Muskegon, or how do I work with Parker Hannifin, or any of these other military contractors in the area. So it was great. I joke that if they had class in that room, they would have had to kick us out because we had folks sticking around 45 minutes an hour after the fact. And so it was a great reception. And so we're hoping to, again, as we hear from our employers about the things that they're looking for, or opportunities, matching that with the resource partners or things that are out there. Again, we are a convener, a collaborator, right? So we're going to try and match those two things together. So I think you'll see a lot of that going forward.
I mean, how much of our industry currently, or manufacturing or business here currently, is contributing in that area of aerospace?
Quite a few. I mean, we have a lot of tool and die shops. So we don't have, we have one or two that are straight up aerospace defense, but we have a lot of suppliers for that industry. And again, I think we've talked about, this is a tool and die mecca here in Berrien County. And so those job shops, machine shops, and we have a lot of them are looking to dive into that. Again, they've been working for Whirlpool. They've been doing stuff in automotive. They've been doing stuff for LECO. But now it's like, okay, I need to kind of open my eyes up to opportunities beyond just Berrien County or northern Indiana, and harness what's going on with the state. If they're going to make resources available, let's jump into that. So I think you'll see more companies as a result of this event and some of the conversations and meetings that are coming up with those resource partners, I think you're going to have a lot more aerospace and defense suppliers here in the coming years.
Yeah, that to me that would be super exciting because you think about the industry and what it brings with it. It brings a lot of high-paying jobs,
Yes,
which can help support the housing shortage that we're currently dealing with. I mean, you think about the housing shortage currently in Southwest Michigan. That factored in with also the population decline that we've had in Southwest Michigan. How you pair those two things together, bringing in new industry that we have some of right now, but even more of it would be amazing.
Yeah, the demand would really help. I think.
Can I have you bring the
I'm
microphone?
sorry. The demand of bringing in new workforce would really help with developers coming in and feeling comfortable with building housing, even though we're seeing preliminary data from Bowen come back at our housing supply that's on the market as available housing is 0.6% in the county, which is like 430 homes that are on the market.
Yeah, it's not much.
It's not a lot at all. And so that demand is here, and that's one of the reasons that we're bringing in the developers on Developer Day.
I think they're talking about like 23,000 houses short in Southwest Michigan, which is just incredible.
That would not surprise me at all.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
All right, we're continuing our conversation with Marla Schneider and Greg King. They're both with Cornerstone Alliance. Marla is the president and CEO. Greg King, director of economic development. Marla, how long have you been in the job now? Has it been a year yet?
10. No, I can still say I'm new.
How's that working?
It's great.
How's it been?
Yeah, it's been wonderful. I mean, I think what really brings, what gets me up in the morning is building these relationships and making sure that we're working together with our resource partners and referring projects and companies and opportunities to them. So it's not all just about Cornerstone. We're one community together. And, Greg referred to us as a convener, and so many times we are a convener, and having those resources that we can tap into and bring along to companies to have them meet. I think it's just a great experience.
All right, we're going to continue that piece of the conversation in just a moment. We've got to get back on the air for some weather. It's WSJM.
Yeah.
The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
It's the WSJM Morning Show, 7:36 on your Tuesday, October 7th. Temperature outside right now in Benton Harbor, it's 62 degrees, 63 in St. Joseph, 61 in South Haven. I told you the temperatures were going to be dropping off. It's cold out there. Well, not cold, but it's feeling fall-like finally. Expect rain to continue in the next hour if it's not raining where you are currently. We still have raindrops falling outside the studios. It's going to be a cloudy day. We do have those rain showers, mainly the first half of today. The high probably going to be in the mid-60s somewhere if we get up that high. We did already, and again, we're going to have falling temperatures as the day progresses. Southwest winds becoming northwest 10 to 15 miles per hour. That's going to bring in more of the cool temperatures. The wind gusts could get up to 25 miles per hour today. Tonight's forecast becoming mostly clear, a low overnight of 45 degrees. Wednesday, partly sunny and cool. Tomorrow, high around 64 degrees. Still wind out of the north, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Thursday and Friday, patchy frost is a possibility. Lows are going to be around 37, 38 degrees in Southwest Michigan. Mostly sunny otherwise, a high around 65 degrees. More from our interview with Cornerstone Alliance. Marla Schneider, the president and CEO of Cornerstone, and Greg King, the director of economic development, are here to join us. We will continue that conversation in a moment. First off, we've got the latest world and national news from ABC.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Peace talks between Israel and Hamas are resuming at an Egyptian resort city on the 2-year anniversary of the militant group's surprise attack that triggered the bloody conflict. A federal judge blocking the Trump administration's efforts to send National Guard troops to Portland, Illinois, and Chicago, suing to stop the Guard from coming to that state. However, says ABC's Peter Haralambous,
it's a bit of a tightrope in terms of what a city can actually do to impede federal law enforcement and the National Guard, and what the Trump administration will theoretically do in response. On Monday afternoon, President Trump was asked about this, and he suggested that he might even invoke the Insurrection Act if cities across the country continue to push back against his work.
The government shutdown drags on. No new talks are scheduled on ending it. It's starting to affect the nation's airports, where flight attendants have been calling in sick. They're among the hundreds of thousands of workers furloughed during the stalemate. Actually, air traffic controllers. This is ABC News.
WSJM News now. Team coverage from the WSJM newsroom on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM.
7:39 WSJM morning show continues. I'm Ken Lundberg. Some of the local news stories that we'll cover coming up just after 8 o'clock this morning. The Berrien Hills housing development is moving forward. The St. Joseph Township Board of Trustees last night approving a brownfield financing plan for a proposed residential commercial development at the former Berrien Hills Country Club off Napier Avenue. We'll tell you a little bit more about that coming up just after 8 o'clock. Also in Benton Harbor, city commissioners voted last night to rename Britton Play Park at Britton and Pipestone in honor of former mayor of Benton Harbor, James Hightower. We'll tell you a little bit more about that discussion. And then also October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The Berrien County Health Department urging women to maintain monthly self-exams and regular screenings. They say they do it because early detection improves outcomes. So those stories and more coming up just after 8 o'clock right here on the WSJM Morning Show. It's 7:40.
The Michigan News Network.
Okay, back on the video live stream. We're talking with Marla Schneider and Greg King from Cornerstone Alliance. Marla, president and CEO of Cornerstone Alliance. We were just talking, so 10 months in, anything surprise you about the role?
No, not really. I mean, I feel like if I didn't go through the interview process and have the board be very transparent about some things, there probably would have been surprises, but I felt like my eyes were wide open walking into this and knowing that, quite frankly, Cornerstone had some relationship building to do, and that's been a primary focus of mine, and Greg has been instrumental in that as well, and really uplifting our resource partners, making sure that we are connected with them, that there is alignment and not a lot of duplication. That's been an ongoing exercise for us. And I think we're starting to see the fruits of that with our partners just being very engaged with us and, some changes that we're making too within Cornerstone's four walls. And I had mentioned to you earlier about the Women's Business Center. So that's one of those changes that we're making to make sure that we do have alignment and success with our other entrepreneurial partners in Berrien County.
Let's talk about that. Women's Business Center for those who don't know.
Sure. So Women's Business Center, it's been part of Cornerstone for 20 years, I believe now. And they are associated with the Small Business Administration, so somewhat federally funded, half federally funded within Cornerstone's four walls. And that's been a great resource for entrepreneurs at all stages within their development. But we are now really working with some of the other entrepreneurial partners who have come online within those 20 years to make sure that there's alignment and not duplication. So we've decided to take the Women's Business Center and remove that moniker from it and fold it within Cornerstone as an entrepreneurial services division. And what that does for us is it allows us to work with our partners like Emerge and the South Haven Innovation Hub and make sure that as companies go through their stage of development, that we are qualifying entrepreneurs in a space within Cornerstone that makes sense for us and it makes sense for our other partners. So we're formulating that at the moment with them, but this is an initiative that's going forward to make sure that that duplication is no longer something that is a concern from a brand or funding perspective with others in the county.
Okay. Does it take the women part off the Women's Business Center?
It does, but that does not necessarily remove a focus of ours. In fact, it broadens our focus. So there was some prescriptiveness with being tied to the SBA, and now it opens us up to focusing on areas of diversity, working with men in particular, which we always did work with men, but I think that Women's Business Center moniker could have been a little confusing because most of our clients ended up being women. And so now with that, we are able to work across the spectrum. And I think it's going to be very beneficial.
And just in time for the government shutdown. So you'll get no more SBA money. No. Is the government shutdown effect? Are you hearing from employers at all on this?
Not too much yet. I think we're still early on. I think once we get a couple, if it happens where it's a couple weeks on, I think we'll start seeing more of that effect in terms of contracts being frozen or things being pushed off. But as of right now, we have not heard from any of our employers on that. I think our state partners and resource partners, the MEDC or MDAR, they're working with their federal counterparts. And that's, I think, where we're seeing some of that shortfall.
So we could see that pass-through money that goes from the federal government to Michigan, which would eventually come our way, potentially getting hiccuped.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So we get reimbursements for different grants and federal funding that we have, accessed throughout the years. And so I know that we submitted for a reimbursement recently, and we're, it's up in the air on the timing of that. So operationally, it could affect our cash flow a little bit, but we're in a good position, and I think that could be the case for others too that are nonprofits within the community that have accessed federal funding.
Yeah, very much so. You mentioned earlier that you're looking at the outcome of the study, the housing study that's in for Southwest Michigan. What geographic area does this cover? Just Berrien County?
Berrien County only.
And taking the outcome of that and working in some specific areas that the data will lead you to. And part of that, I think you mentioned, is hiring a housing resource. Can you talk a little bit more about what that person will do in that role?
So in short, there were a lot of ideas in the first session that we had with our stakeholders, but I think primarily we're looking at a person who would work with municipalities for restructuring zoning, making sure that that's accommodating to the type of housing that is necessary for that particular area of our county. Also working with developers and connecting them with available sites, identifying sites with communities for redevelopment or development, and then working with like the Brownfield TIF and MISHDA and all of the other financial resources that can incentivize a housing development. So those are kind of the three pillars or the three main functions that I see this person working on.
There are other entities in Southwest Michigan that are working on these same issues. Are you partnering with, say, Southwest Michigan Planning Commission, Chamber of Commerce, others?
Yes. So we do not think that housing should be done in a silo here. It is needed to the extent where we want everyone working on it. We have kind of raised our hand and said, we'll be the convener and make sure that we all know what we are all doing. So on a certain cadence, this person that we hire will bring together everyone working in the housing space from all different areas of the spectrum, from kind of the social services side all the way up to the high-end housing, to make sure that we all know what's happening in our community on the initiative of housing, so that we're not siloed.
I think following up on that, I think all of our developers, there's financial incentives and stuff like that, but a lot of the times they want to know, well, how fast can I get this going? Like what's the policies that the municipality has for me to get into housing or development, and so I think this person will be really focused on the education advocacy piece, and how does something like, the redevelopment ready certification that, the city of St. Joe just got, how does that feed into housing? How can we utilize that program? How can we promote that program if it lends to more housing? So I think I just wanted to touch on that as a follow-up to that role. I think that'll be a big one in navigating those hurdles or policies or ordinances with our development community.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We're talking with Marla Schneider and Greg King. They're with Cornerstone Alliance. We're going to continue this conversation as part of our Moody on the Market update in just a moment. It's 7:48. It's the WSJM Morning Show.
We get excited every day about doing insurance in Berrien County in Southwest Michigan.
IMS, an auto owner's insurance agency in St. Joseph and in Niles.
We're watching over you. IMS Insurance Management Service.
IMS is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance.
Cloudy skies with showers and a few thunderstorms to start out today. We'll see these taper off as the day goes on. High temperatures in the mid and upper 60s in the morning, but dropping into the low 60s this afternoon. And with the wind shift, it's going to become breezy this afternoon. Clear tonight, we drop down to 45, and tomorrow sunny, but high temperatures only at 64. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carrie Peugeot.
The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
Sorry, we were talking pot on the with marijuana tax and using pot to fill potholes and that kind of thing. All right, it's the WSJM Morning Show. I'm Ken Lundberg. My guests this morning, Marla Schneider, the president and CEO of Cornerstone Alliance, Greg King, director of economic development at Cornerstone. Let's make this part of our Moody on the Market update. This segment is brought to you by Insurance Management Service. Call IMS today. They are your local auto owners insurance agency in St. Joseph and in Niles. And one of the things that I wanted to ask about, Cornerstone Alliance had a role in St. Joseph's redevelopment ready communities initiative. Talk a little bit about what redevelopment ready means, what that is, what role Cornerstone played in helping St. Joseph get that certification.
Sure. So Andrew Hahn on our staff was instrumental in guiding that process with the city of St. Joseph.
It was like a 2-year plus process, right?
It's a very labor-intensive process. Even there's 2 levels of certification. So there's the essential levels, and then there's the certified. And even essentials is quite a bit of work. And it really is about process and making sure, like Greg was talking about before, that the process for development and redevelopment is streamlined, and it's not getting bogged down by, government red tape. And so having this in place assures a developer that they can work with the municipality in a timely and efficient fashion. But then it also provides some funding opportunities through the state. So when you have that RRC status of either essentials or certified, it opens up the avenue to receive funding for small businesses in downtown, for example. So it's a very good tool to have.
Yeah, redevelopment ready. Anything to add on that, Greg?
No, it's very thorough. I think I think you'll see us educating and doing more on that guidance with RC. That designation for the communities. I think we received a lot of those inquiries. I think St. Joe getting that has sparked some conversation. Again, it's one of the few opportunities for municipalities to get funding through the state. It's kind of the carrots, for them to do that. So if you're looking at facade improvements or match on main grants or any of those programs, a lot of those are either for or given special designation to those municipalities that are engaged or have the RRC certification. So yeah, we're excited to do that going forward. It is a lot of work in master plans and zoning ordinances and economic development plans. So it is, if a municipality is looking to do it, I'd say 1 to 3 years is pretty normal. So they have to be kind of very forward thinking in doing that. So yeah, I think we'll hopefully have some more RC certifications to celebrate here in the next year or so.
Yeah. So when a community, St. Joe, for instance, gets that redevelopment ready community certification, what are the next steps now? Now that St. Joseph has that, what next for them on this?
So the certified level is kind of the full meal deal. So the state has a team that comes in and helps the city with identifying redevelopment sites, making sure that those are marketed and marketable. There's other services that they provide from the state level. It's more engagement, I suppose to say. And so it's the benefit to having that extra level is access and efficiency.
Yeah. So identifying the sites and saying, hey, look, we're ready. We meet this standard. If you're familiar with working with other redevelopment ready communities, we're one of those.
Yes.
That's good stuff. Yeah. Okay. This has been part of our Moody on the Market update for this hour. It's brought to you by Insurance Management Service. Call IMS today, your local auto owners insurance agency in St. Joseph and in Niles. It's 7:52. That's our Moody on the Market update. We'll be back with more with Marla and Greg in just a moment. Cornerstone Alliance.
It's Johnny Reinhardt. And
sorry. Go ahead. We're back on the video live stream.
Oh, okay.
What else you want to talk about?
I'm interrupting.
No, you're fine.
The other project that we are working on in the city of St. Joe is the Marquette. And so tying into housing and the RRC status of the community, I think the Marquette is, kind of a showcase project for all of that. And in my mind, it will be the catalyst to other development in downtown St. Joe.
I mean, that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
How did that one come about?
We've been, the Ranks Group, they own, several other properties in the city of St. Joe. They're smaller developments. We've been working with the Ranks Group for, even before I started, just on development opportunities. And so this one, they brought to us earlier this year. And I mean, we just think it's a phenomenal project for the city and to turn that vacant lot into something that will be an economic driver for all of the small retail businesses in downtown.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the residences that it can bring forward and the commercial space around on the street there, and the assumption from the developer is anyway that you're going to have a lot of walking traffic. That's good news for downtown.
Very good news. For
How
downtown.
on the other side of it, people have questions about infrastructure, roads, sewers, everything else. How is that? How do you balance that when you're thinking about economic development with making sure that it's happening at a pace that the community can support?
Yeah, I don't think that the city would do anything that would compromise infrastructure. I mean, that would be to their own detriment. So the planning of this will be very methodical. And so, I believe that as those things emerge, either those questions will be answered or mitigated throughout the process.
Yeah. Boy, if you watch the Planning Commission, they are very methodical.
They are.
Yes, they are.
who has to go to the Planning Commission meetings? Is that you?
That's typically Andrew.
Is that Andrew Hahn?
Yes, but I've
No wonder he's not here.
I went to the last one, so it's a combination of all of us. It's a team effort.
Okay. Those are interesting meetings.
They are.
They are always interesting meetings, no matter what. Yes.
All right. Anything else that we want to address? I mean, we've got a couple of minutes here before the top of the hour. Usually we get a personal insight to how people are doing. Full disclosure, Marla's my neighbor. She sees us walking our stubborn dog. I see you with your great dog outside every now and again. What do you do in your free time when you're not running economic development?
I mean, walking my dog is a huge part of my free time. So, last night we tried to see the sunset, but I think it was a little cloudy for it. So we walked down to Lions Park in Silver Beach.
Yeah.
And that's, kind of a nightly routine for us. And, outside of that, I was drinking from a fire hose for probably the first, 7 to 8 months here. And so a lot of my time was consumed with work and buying a new house and all of those fun things and becoming your neighbor.
Yay.
And now I feel like that's starting to settle down where I'm getting more of my work-life balance back for my own
good
sanities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good neighborhood.
It's a wonderful neighborhood.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's very nice. Okay, we'll be back in just a moment. We're talking with Cornerstone Alliance. This is the WSJM Morning Show, 7:56.
Joseph, a product of Midwest Family Marketing and Media. Proudly serving our community. The Morning Show with Ken Lundberg on WSJM.
It's the WSJM Morning Show. I'm Ken Lundberg. We've been talking with a couple of folks from Cornerstone Alliance, Marla Schneider, who's the president and CEO there, and Greg King, director of economic development. We were talking about housing. We were talking about redevelopment-ready communities. We were talking about aerospace. You have any role in asteroids hitting the planet or not? Okay.
I think we're staying away
It's a
from that
favorite
one, yeah.
topic of the WSJM Morning Show. If you brought one of those industries here, how we could avoid that.
I'll keep that in mind.
Laser beams on the sharks' heads,
Okay.
that kind of stuff. Yeah, it'd be fantastic. It's an Austin Powers reference.
Okay, I was going to say.
Anyway,
Too early in the morning, Ken.
No, that's okay. We talked a little bit about Marla, what she does in her free time. Greg, what do you do when you're not economic developing?
Oh gosh, so we just recently moved to Holland for my partner and I. I'm a trivia host up there, so a lot
Trivia
of,
host?
I'm a trivia guy. So coming up with trivia, we're talking about Developer Day. There might be a trivia elements on the bus for Developer Day. But
I love that. So give us a trivia question.
Oh gosh, a trivia question right now. Right now I'm working on
Just like asking a comedian, be funny.
Yeah, be funny.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I don't know if right now I'm in the midst of it. I think we're doing a Golden Girls, Gilmore Girls.
Oh my goodness!
Thursday. So
wow,
I'm just putting those together. So I don't have any questions for you just
How
yet.
long does it take you to put together questions for a trivia night?
Anywhere from 6 to 8 hours, probably. So,
Woof.
so yeah, in this case, so a lot of trivia outfits, they contract with someone that provides them with the trivia questions and everything else. Like I'm just coming up with stuff
Wow.
out of my head, and this is an opportunity that a local coffee shop restaurants came to a trivia that I was guest hosting and gave me an opportunity 3 years ago. And so I've done, hundreds of questions, and I think I have like 400 pages worth of trivia that
That's
I've done.
fun.
So it's a lot of fun. It is an undertaking every other week.
That's great. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. And we'll have to have you in for sharing that. And we'll have to have you in for a trivia hour at some
We
point.
can do that.
I think that'd be fun.
I'd be
He likes to
ecstatic.
bounce his questions off of us at the office.
I do test my questions with the Cornerstone Alliance team fairly often. So
I love that.
yes.
I love that. All right. We've been talking with Cornerstone Alliance, Marla Schneider and Greg King. For more information on the things that are Cornerstone Alliance is up to or questions that you might have, where do people go?
GoMichigan.com.
Okay. GoMichigan.com. Any parting words? We've got 30 seconds.
No, we just appreciate having you having us on the show. It's
Absolutely.
always a pleasure to talk with you in
Thank
a
you.
professional setting and personal setting. So we're just excited about what we're doing and advancing our community forward with all of our partners. So we anticipate that we've only just begun and we're going to continue to build on our momentum.
And if you have any random knowledge that I can create a trivia question on, let me know. So we'll go from there, right? So
Tons of random useless knowledge.
There you
No,
go.
some of it useful. Some very good. Marla Schneider and Greg King with Cornerstone Alliance. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Ken.
We appreciate it. Absolutely. We'll be right back in just a moment. We've got the latest world and national news from ABC. We'll have the local news from our WSJM newsroom. In case you haven't noticed, it is raining outside, and we're going to have that rain for the first half of today, probably. Otherwise, it's going to be cloudy and a high somewhere in the mid 60s. It's 8 o'clock.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. The government shut down into its second week with